Right, John the Van Guy. A few tips on Talbot Express, blown head gasket, and what to do about it. I don't want to spend a lot of time on this, but I'll just show you what I've done. Blown head, classic symptoms, gas in the coolant, bubbling like mad, and I won't go through what actually happened, except that the fan didn't come on and the thing blew when I left it idling. Right, so what I've done, taken the head off. To get the head off, just a little few tips while you're at it. Obviously, one of the things you've got to watch out for is you've got to release the exhaust at the back, which is just 2 bolts. You can actually leave the exhaust manifold on and the induction manifold on, which is quite handy, and you can take them off later. You'll find there's a water pipe. This is the water pipe that they talk about, which goes on the back. The reason why you've got to release that is because it's bolted on through this flap. There's 2 bolts holding it onto the block, or maybe the head. So this end where you have the water pump end, I found they say release the alternator. Well, I did the adjuster on the alternator, but I couldn't take the alternator off, I found, and the bolts are difficult to get to. But I found if you can get, once you take the belt off, the water pump belt off, and you've released all the head bolts, you can actually take off all this with the head, and then you can actually dismantle once you've got the head off. Soak everything in, all the nuts and bolts in penetrating oil, but leave overnight, which is handy. So when you're actually taking the head off, one useful thing is they'll give you a sequence on taking the head off, and you must follow that sequence. The bottom line is, I mean, you can find out what the sequence is. It'll be in that russet manual, a little manual that comes with the Talbot Express, for the Talbot Express. A bit limited, but it gives you all the necessary information if you search. And when you're taking something off like this, it's the outsides working in alternately. You just crack them all first, and then slowly keep going back over, loosening and loosening and loosening, working from the outside to the centre on it. When you're actually putting back, you go from the centre again, crisscrossing from the centre to the outward, the outsides, and releasing the bolts. These weren't stretch bolts on this. When you're taking the bolts and the push rods out, remember to put them all into a box so they're all in order, and number them, stick them through cardboard or something, which I've actually done here. That's the rocker. I've stuck them all on there into that box. If you're a little bit worried about the tubes for where the spark plugs go, the tubes you can actually get them out with a mole wrench, which I managed to do. I actually heated up with a blowtorch the tubes, and I used a freeze release thing and did that alternately. Then using a mole wrench I was able to work them all off, so I could actually get at the spark plugs. That was one thing. The actual plastic of the high tension leads actually melted in those tubes, so I had to actually take the tubes off anyway and drill them out with a wood drill. Well, that was another story. What else? Yes, when you're taking things off, number them, in a sense, put them all in bags, label bags for each little bit. Ideally have boxes for all your bits and pieces, so keeping everything together. Take loads of photographs as well, it's very handy. Again, I've kept all the nuts and bolts together for each little bit unit. There's the inlet manifold here. Again, that once you've got the head off, you can just take that off. Right, what else? I've had this re-skimmed. You can actually apparently do it yourself, but it's a lot of work. This is a cast iron head, not an aluminium head, and you can use 80 grit at the minimum or the maximum grit you want to use. Stick it onto a board, and go backwards and forwards. Again, there's loads on the net about this do-it-yourself type skimming, but yeah, I've started to do that actually on the block, because you've got to sort out the block as well. You don't want to, unless you want to take the engine out and have that machine done, that would be a bit of a pain. So I'm actually working on that now. When you're doing the block, old school funk, just this very good guy on the website, kind of religious vogue, but I don't mind that, it's very good. Now you're looking down here, fill out all the channels, using a basting thing, take out all the water, fill all the channels, and then rub down backwards and forwards, up and down, what have you, using some sort of a block arrangement, and keep testing. When you're actually testing, of course, it's classic. There's different ways of doing it. You need a good metal straight edge, and you slide your feeler gauge. Allowable tolerance is about, it's 0.003 of an inch, 0.003 on your feeler gauge is kind of max that you want. Anything above that and you've probably got a problem. There was a big warp in this. I went up to about 0.005, 0.006 in certain areas. These are usually the problem areas around between the cylinders, but it was warped. This was £50 to have done. Local guy, I'm in Salisbury, a local guy near up in Excess on Netherhampton Road, very good guy, Simon Hicks, and he's done that for me. Right, that was 50 quid, and I've got the gasket set here, that's £30. There's probably lots and lots of things, but it's all doable if you just take your time. You will need to drop your engine, by the way, to get the back bolts out. Put your engine onto a jack, get a jack on, and then release 3 bolts there. That's all it is, 3 bolts there, 4 bolts here, and the whole thing will drop. And then you actually get at these back bolts and get them out. Right. There's probably lots of other things, but these are a few of the tips that I found useful for now. It's good to have an air hose, by the way, just to actually clean out the wells and everything, and invaluable actually, having a compressor and an air hose. I think it's brilliant. You'd be amazed if it's well worth it. If you're thinking of investing, do. They come into very, very useful in all sorts of situations. Right, there you go, there's the exhaust manifold down there.